podcast you've been looking for all along. Step into the world of urban exploration with guests from around the world. Welcome to No Tracers. What's up, guys? Welcome back to No Tracers. If you're new to the podcast, well, my name is Kay. I am your host here on No Tracers. This podcast is all about urban exploration, something that I got into a long time ago, and I've only been documenting my adventures since 2016, which is crazy to me. I wish I had documented my explorations before that time, but that's when I really got into urban exploration. And so this week, I want to tell you guys a story about a place called the Downey Insane Asylum. And before I get into this episode, there's a couple things you guys need to know about. First of all, I have a book out called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. If you guys want to get a copy of that photo book, it is full of my adventures and my adventure stories about the abandoned places that I've explored in America. There's also a place in Canada and a place in Portugal in that book that I have explored. My second book, I would like to be all international places, which would have taken place this year had COVID not happened. But unfortunately, we live in a COVID world now where we can't really travel internationally unless we only want to go to, 12 countries? So that's unfortunate, but hopefully 2021 is full of international adventures. We'll see what happens. Maybe Moderna or Pfizer will come out with this vaccine and we'll be able to start traveling again after we're vaccinated. Other than talking about COVID briefly, sorry about that. I'm sure you're sick of hearing about COVID, but it's kind of relevant. Sometimes these things happen. I guess pandemics don't really happen that often, but here we are. So if you guys want to get a copy of No Tracers or see my blog posts about my adventures, head to notracers.com and enjoy, have fun, have a browse. And I hope you guys enjoy the photography and the stories and the videos. I also have videos on YouTube, youtube.com/justtheletterK. I'm also on TikTok at No Tracers and Instagram at no.tracers. And the last thing I need to let you guys know about is that we have a partner for this podcast, and that is Liquid Death Water. And if you've never heard of Liquid Death Water, well, don't worry. I've got an ad coming for you in 3, 2, 1. From the streams of the Austrian Alps comes a new kind of water. A water that is sure to raise you from your grave. If you're tired of buying cases of plastic water bottles that contain carcinogens and God knows what else, or if you're trying to lower your waste footprint, Liquid Death comes in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. Murder your thirst with a can of Liquid Death. Check the link in the description and use code JustTheLetterK at checkout for 10% off your order. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. So if you want to get 1 case or 20 cases of Liquid Death, you will get 10% off your order by using the code JustTheLetterK. Thank you guys for supporting me. I get a little bit of kickback every time you guys use my code. Also, there are a bunch of affiliate links to Amazon products down in the description that might help you guys out if you're trying to get into urban exploration. So definitely check those out. So let's get into this episode. Let's talk about the Downey Insane Asylum. And I want to start this episode off with a viral piece of content that I posted on TikTok. Has over 1 million views on it. Absolutely insane. Super crazy that I posted. This was one of the first things I posted on TikTok and it blew up. So thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it. So I'm going to start this episode off with that piece of viral content. If you guys want to see the video, you can go to No Tracers on TikTok, or you can watch this podcast episode with photos included at youtube.com/justtheletterK. So if you want to see this podcast, like if you want a visual representation of this podcast, head to youtube.com/justtheletterK. Otherwise, you'll just hear an audio snippet that is actually from my book, No Tracers. So if you guys want to check out the book, here is a little snippet from that. I don't know how the city is legally allowed to just keep all this medically contaminated material lying around inside of these old decaying buildings. Surely, if the people of Downey saw these photos, the city would come under fire for not cleaning up their mess. But I'm just a mere photographer, documenting the trash that humans leave behind. The Downey Insane Asylum is not only full of contaminated material, but it is also supposedly super haunted, especially in the patients' wards, where I've been. Let me tell you, if I hadn't believed in ghosts before visiting the patients' wards here, I became a believer upon stepping into the asylum. It's so dark and eerie that it literally takes your breath away. So yeah, that is a snippet from No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. So let's talk a little bit about the Downey Insane Asylum. This place is here in California. Obviously, it's in Downey. You've probably heard about it by now. If you haven't heard about the Downey Insane Asylum, you should definitely just look it up on YouTube. You will see not only my videos from there, but you will see countless other videos. I think Sam and Colby have been there. Exploring with Josh has probably been there. Lots of explorers have been to this place. I'll start off by saying that this place is now guarded by police. There is an armed presence there. They also train canines on the grounds of the Downey Insane Asylum. So if you're thinking about sneaking into this place, good freaking luck. It is not going to be easy, and you will face a fine, and you might get arrested. So I would advise against it, honestly. But if you want to risk it for the biscuit, go ahead, check it out. So, Downey Insane Asylum. I first explored this place in, I believe it was 2016, when I was taking photos for an artist by the name of Diana Meyer. She goes by Diana Meyer Music, and Diana wanted some really cool photos taken of her just for promo content. And so I was into exploring around this time. I had just gotten to exploring in California around this time. So I had heard of the Downey Insane Asylum, wanted to check it out. And naturally, I was like, why don't I put this photography shoot in a location that's also abandoned so that I get to explore an abandoned place while taking photos of somebody. So that's exactly what I did with Diana. I'm going to throw some photos up on the screen as I talk about this. So if you guys, like I said, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you should go watch it on YouTube so you can get a visual representation. But we showed up at Downey Insane Asylum. It was Diana and myself. At this time, there wasn't a police presence. It was just kind of open. It was just a road closed sign, really, and an open fence. So we were like, all right, we're going to definitely check this place out. We had heard that there was patrol around the area, but it was a little different back then, 4 years ago, than it is now. Now there's a armed police officer at the main fence line, parked there all the time, 24/7, just they're always there. But back in 2016, they would just kind of like drive around the area and then go back to the police station. So upon stepping on the grounds of this place, we were almost immediately stopped by a police officer. We were walking around the main patient wards, and a cop car pulled up to us, and this very kind, charismatic gentleman basically rolled the window down and said, "Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be here. What are you doing here?" And I proceeded to tell him, "Hi, sir. I am a photographer. This is my friend. She is a singer-songwriter. And we heard about this place and wanted to take some creepy photos here. And we heard about the history of the place, so we kind of wanted to check it out." And he told us, "All right, you can go check it out. You can take your photos. But if anybody else stops you, I'm not going to be able to help you." So basically he was telling us, like, I didn't see anything. Go ahead. So we took that as, we're definitely going in this place now. A cop just told us it was fine, so here we freaking go. So went through the fence, went through an open window, and there were actually other people inside already, and they were leaving. It was a group of teenagers, probably spray painting the building or doing whatever it is teenagers do in abandoned buildings, maybe smoking some pot. So they were leaving as we were entering the building, which is how we actually found our entrance and exit, because they were coming out of a window, and we realized, okay, we can go through that window. So jumped into the window. First thing I did was set up my camera, get an opening shot of myself going into the window and my friends going into the window. We had Diana with me, and her friend met up with us as well. So it was 3 of us total, which is great for exploring. You always want to have more than just one person. Don't ever go by yourself. It's unsafe. So here we are. You know what? I want to cue some music. Can we have some music for this one? Let's drop some music in right here. Creepy ambient drone sounds. All right, here we go. So We jump through the window. I film my little intro video, and then I walk out into the hallway. I turn to the left, and I saw, for the first time, the darkness. And if you don't know what the darkness is, I'm going to give you a little rundown. The darkness is something that I came up with, the name, the darkness. Basically what it is, when you're in an abandoned building that has strong energy, it's so hard to explain unless you've actually experienced it. But there's a certain type of, it's dark in these buildings, right? But there's a certain type of darkness that is like you're looking into a void. And it's crazy that it exists inside a building that's empty. Because, how and why? Why does that exist? Why is that there? Why does it look like that? Why does it look so dark? That's the darkness. It gives you this feeling inside your chest, like your chest is collapsing. It feels like a ghost walked through you, basically. It takes your breath away, like I said in that audio snippet. Literally takes your breath away. So I'm in this hallway. It's completely pitch black. And what did I do? I set up my tripod. I took a long exposure photo. It's one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken to date. It's an absolutely beautiful photo. It looks like there's a ghost behind me, but it's actually Diana and her white pants. But, for people that don't know, it looks like there's a ghost behind me, which is super interesting. So, how I created this photo. Basically, I had Diana stand behind me with my phone and wave it around my body, and I stood in this really creepy slumped over position. Kind of looked like the bent neck lady from The Haunting of Hill House, which was great, by the way. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Bly Manor was pretty good, just a different kind of story, different kind of storytelling. Also good. However, back to Downey. So, took this photo, and we continued on down the hallway. Turned the corner, and there's just a chair in the middle of the hallway, and the sun is coming through the window, and it's beaming right on this chair. And I was like, damn, that's eerie. So I snapped a photo. Then I told Diana to go stand on the chair or sit on the chair. I can't remember. I remember standing on the chair. Here's the photo. And then I told Diana to go over to the chair, pose in the chair. Took a photo there. Took a couple photos in the foyer area, the foyer, whatever you want to call it. So took a few more photos there, and then we decided to go upstairs and explore some more and take some more photos. Before we went upstairs, though, we walked past this tiny, tiny room. It was probably used for storage back in the day. Also, I guess I should give a brief history of the Downey Insane Asylum. So, known as Hollydale, the Hollydale Insane Asylum, it was built in the late 1800s for the mentally ill, disabled, and the homeless. With its success came thousands of patients. In the 1950s, this town became a part of the city of Downey, and 30 years later it was shut down because it had fallen into disrepair. And it's a shame that they couldn't keep it running because it seems like it truly helped thousands of people. If you happen to know anyone that was a patient there, please let me know. Please reach out to me. I would love to talk to them on this podcast. That would be insane. So that's just a brief little history about Downey Insane Asylum. There are stories that they found, the SWAT team was training there and they found some body parts in a freezer. So there's kind of a bit of a twisted history with this place, but that goes with most asylums in the United States and worldwide. So back to my story. So we took this photo in a super tiny room, did some more light painting. So Diana is sitting in the middle of the room and I stood behind her with my phone, like the flash on my phone, and I waved it around her in a weird motion. And this photo turned out exceptionally. It's a long exposure photo. It was probably a 25-second photo, and I love how it turned out. One of my favorite photos from the shoot. So after we took this, we went upstairs, kept exploring, and as the day went on, it just got creepier and creepier and creepier. And then finally, it got to the point where I walked alone down a hallway, felt the darkness again, and I took off running towards my friends. And I said, hey, I think it's time for us to go. We've been here we've overstayed our welcome and I can feel it. So we packed up our stuff and immediately left. That was the first time I went to the Downey Insane Asylum. The second time I went to the Downey Insane Asylum was actually, I think it was at the beginning of 2020. I don't think COVID had really hit yet, but I went again with a guy that I had met, and I was like, yo, we got to go check this place out. If you're down, let's do it. So this time we entered from a different part because, like I said, there are police officers parked outside the facility now. So we went around them, parked way down the road, went around them, and we got into a couple buildings that the doors had been kicked in or unlocked or whatever. So we were exploring, and we found a bunch of contaminated material, contamination bins, things like that, just strewn all over the floor, and that's where the inspiration for that audio snippet came from that I played at the beginning of the episode. That's where that came from, and I still stand by what I said. I think the city should clean up their mess, because, people do get into these places, and there's probably asbestos everywhere, and so they need to either tear the buildings down or they need to just clean them up, do something with them. I don't know why this place is still around. I don't know why most of the abandoned places I've explored are still around. Honestly, I don't know why they're still standing. I get that it costs money to tear things down, but this place is owned by a hospital that has money. So why don't they pay to repair it and use the buildings, or just pay to tear them down so that people aren't going in them anymore? And at the same time, I don't want to say tear them down because I love exploring these places, and I think it's a great place for explorers to start. But that is basically my story, my main two stories about going to the Downey Insane Asylum. The scariest thing I've encountered, aside from the darkness, were a family of raccoons. I've never seen other people in there. I've never seen any ghosts in there. I've felt some things, some energy, if you will, but I've never seen demons or ghosts or anything like that in the Downey Insane Asylum. There's also rumors of a homeless cat lady who, if she sees you, she'll call the cops on you. So if she's still around, hey, what's up? If you hear this podcast, thank you for not, calling the cops on us. Thanks for being cool if you did know we were there. But yeah, the crazy cat lady, that's the main rumor about that place. But yeah, that's my story about the Downey Insane Asylum. If you guys want to check it out, well, do your research. It's not too difficult to find the information about that place, to be honest with you. But like I said, there is a heavy police presence, so I wouldn't do it if I were you. All right, guys, thank you for listening to No Tracers. That is my episode for this week. Come back next week, and I will be talking to Big Banks. If you want to check his stuff out ahead of time, Big Banks with a Z. Actually, it's Big Explorers with a Z on Instagram. Check it out. Or Big Banks with a Z on YouTube. Check his stuff out. I'm going to have him on next week to talk to you guys about his explorations. And if you want to come on the podcast, please hit me up at no.tracers on Instagram or no tracers on TikTok. Would love to chat with you. And if you want to get the book, notracers.com. That's pretty much all I have for you guys this week. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, please do me a favor and leave a rating and feedback. It helps the podcast grow. It helps other people find us. And it means a lot to me. If you do leave a rating and feedback, I will send you a signed photo print. All you got to do is take a screenshot of it and send it to me at no.tracers on Instagram, and I'll get you a signed photo print. Thanks, guys. Stay strong. Keep enduring. Go out. Go explore something. And remember, leave no trace.